Hey guys, coming up for the Vampire Diaries Season 7, Episode 12, Postcards from the Edge, and I was definitely looking forward to this episode. They've really been on this streak, I think, of really great episodes, and this episode ended it. It really did, because this episode, we now got back to what what this season's really been, which is a very scattered season that doesn't really have a plot. It really doesn't. I mean, the last two episodes, I think they really tried to make it as great as it could have been. But this episode, they failed. They really did. It went back to what I haven't liked about the show. It went back to being very messy. And there are some things that I think worked very well about this episode. But then there are so many things that did not work at all. And I'll get into that. But let's just get into this episode because it was a very mixed bag for me. And the way it started, especially. I mean, talk about anticlimactic, really. We begin with Damon. He's lying on the road. A car honks its horn, then slams on the brakes, and the driver goes out to check on him. Damon asks for a hand. He helps him up. Damon says he thought it would make him feel better. The guy offers to call someone, and Damon asks if he's ever done anything that makes him ill to see his own reflection. And Damon compels him, and he says he ran over his girlfriend's cat, and then he says he burned the love of his life to death. Now, here's the thing. I thought that what we saw with him burning Elena's coffin was fake. I thought that that was him imagining that. I'm not saying that Elena's dead, but if the show actually just killed off Elena by having Damon burn her coffin, that is the dumbest thing that the show could have ever done. Yes, Nina Dobrev doesn't want to be on the show anymore. That does not mean you need to kill off her character. One of the reasons I like that Elena is still there is because she's still a part of the show. Her legacy is still there. The show has always been about Elena. It has been. And I know there are people that are like, well, the show really isn't about Elena anymore, and I understand that she's gone everything. I understand that people don't really think the show is about Elena anymore. But me personally, you don't just kill off a character like that. I mean, if you want to just ruin a character, ruin a legacy, there you go. And I really didn't realize that Damon did in fact burn her coffin. I thought that that was fake. I thought that he was imagining himself doing that. I didn't actually think that he did do that. So finding that out, I mean, just what a way to start. So the guy offers to call someone, and Damon says he needs a ride, and tells the guy as they go that he thought Elena changed him, but it was inevitable that he destroyed her. Damon tells him he's going to kill him since he's food, and Damon is hungry, and you can tell right away that Damon is definitely back to his old habits. Damon says he can't imagine ever caring about anyone again. He attacks the guy, drains him, throws his body out of the car, and drives away, and just, it's pretty crazy, it really is. And the thing about this that I don't like is that we've seen this before. It's nothing really new. I mean, Stefan without humanity is interesting. Caroline without humanity is interesting. Even Elena without humanity is interesting. The show started with Damon being the villain. Okay, if you guys remember season 1, Damon was the villain of this show. He was dark. He was evil. I mean, Elena was scared of him. Sure, he had his quips, but he was evil. And seeing him go back to this isn't fun. It just feels repetitive, and I'm not surprised that the show is repeating storylines, because it's clear that to me that they're running out of ideas. You can really tell. So Caroline writes in her Elena diary about her pregnancy and how much they miss her, plus Phoenix Stone drama, and Stefan comes in, says he had no luck finding Damon, but has french fries for Caroline. Now, I do like the Stefan stuff and stuff, so I think Stefan's concern for Damon really is something that worked very well here. Again, I think they really showed that bond that the brothers had very well in this episode. So she gets cramps, then collapses. Stefan is scared, and then we meet the lady cop. She checks out all of Matt's vampires killing gear, and he tries to tell her he took it from extreme survivalists. And like I said last week, I'm pretty sure that this lady cop is going to be the woman that Matt was talking about that dies. And first of all, because we find out her name is Penny in this episode. Matt asks Penny if there's anything else, and she hands back his wallet, keys, and phone, says his dating profile is blowing up. Penny tells him that she didn't officially book him, and then says her friend that used to live in Mystic Falls just got a call saying he could come back home. And basically, I like these two. I really do. One of my favorite parts of this episode, honestly, was Penny and Matt. Matt has a plot now, and I like that. Matt hasn't really been relevant, I think, on the show for a couple seasons, and I like that he finally is getting his own plot. He's getting something to do. He's, getting this woman who we know is going to leave, but it's giving Matt significance on the show. Why is Matt still on the show? Now we know. He's on the show to be the vampire hunter, and now he has this woman, and I really like that, because Matt's really felt like a loner, and I'm glad that they're finally giving him something to do. That's something that I definitely am really enjoying. So Julian's welcoming back the humans to town, and then Valerie's there, and yeah, Valerie's back in this episode. He asks how she has the nerve to show her face. She says something was delivered to her by mistake and hands him the card with the red X, and he's freaking out, and we don't know what this means exactly, but Bonnie chants with Nora as they work a spell, and let's talk about this. Okay, you guys know I really like Bonnie and Nora's interaction. I have no problem with them interacting. But Mary Louise is back in this episode. Yay, yay, Mary Louise is back. And yes, it's still not interesting. They tried to make it interesting here, but it's still, I don't care about the relationship. I never will. There's nothing they can do to get me to care about this relationship. So a locator spell says Ohio, and Nora says the Huntress is on his way to get them. And we find out about the Huntress in this episode, and basically Mary Louise shows up, says Rayna likes to torment her victims, and that's why she sent the card. She got a card too, and I'm like, who's Rayna? Where's Rayna coming from? Yes, we are introduced to a new villain this episode. It just shows how, I think, unfocused this season really is. I mean, we're thinking Julian is going to be the villain of the season, and now all of a sudden they're talking about Rayna. And yes, the originals, to be fair, has done this too, but the originals has talked about these villains throughout the season, and it's felt like, there have been reasons why they didn't need this villain anymore, and there are reasons why they need to kill them. They gave her reasons. Vampire Diaries just kills off villains when they don't know what to do with them anymore, and it's clear that's what they did with Julian in this episode. We'll get into that. But basically, Bonnie tells Mary Louise she's coming with them, says she can't let a ruthless killing machine take down her friends. Nora says Bonnie cares about others, while Mary Louise only cares about Julian. And obviously, there's a conflict going on between Nora and Mary Louise, because Mary Louise is working with Julian while Nora's not. And it's interesting, but it's the two most least interesting characters in the show that the storyline is going on with. So that's why I don't really care. So Bonnie calls shotgun, and again, that has nothing to do with the fact that these two are a lesbian couple. I have no problem with that. I think that's fine. They just, to me, aren't interesting characters. They're not. I don't find them interesting, and I'm not a fan of them. So Valerie tells Julian he seems afraid. Damon is there, decides to decapitate one of his vampires right there, and Julian asks him what he threatened, and Damon says he told him he'd free his entrails to Stefan, and Damon smiles wickedly. The doctor checks on Caroline, tells Stefan that she's okay, but her heart is a little weak, and the babies are fine. The doctor says the pregnant woman's blood pressure can sometimes drop, and he says he'll contact the baby's father, and says he's in Dallas for a job interview. Now, I was thinking that Caroline was going to go to Dallas with a lark, because, it's safer there, and I understand the Mystic Falls is more home to her, but Dallas is probably the best place to go, because we see in this episode that the babies, definitely something bad's happening to Caroline with these babies, and we'll get into that. So, Caroline and Stefan notice that her head is desiccating, and Julian has Damon for his last words. He asks about the X marks the spot postcard and who he's running from, and Damon asks if it's from a sword-welding vixen who sent his ass to hell. Damon asks if she's hot and laughs. Now, let me talk also about Elena, because there's something that's very wrong here that I just don't understand at all. The flash forwards basically told us that Damon slept for all this time waiting for Elena. That's what these flashbacks told us, that he waited all this time for her, and that it was all because of Elena. That's what happened there. That's what it seemed to me was going on, that he waited all this time for Elena, and that he was sleeping that long. You can't tell me that the show killed her off. I mean, that's basically just saying, no, that's not actually what happened, but that's a flash forward. It's not a flash back, it's a flash forward, so you can't kill off Elena. It just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't go with the story they're trying to tell. They've already killed a big part of this flash forward, and that's a big problem for me. So basically, Damon asks if she's hot and laughs. Julian says that he gets it. You're in self-destruct mode from the stone. Damon says you think, and Julian says that Lily tethered him to his sanity, and when she died, things go off the rails. And Julian asks who he died and says it is the chick in the box, and Damon says Elena. Then he admits he burned her alive. Julian puts his arm around Damon, says they should have had some fun. He tells him he has a good outlet for his pain. Bonnie asks how Rayna still lives after all this, and they tell her that shamans build her for this, and they make her immortal, gave her the sword. Bonnie and Nora are buddy-buddy, and it annoys Mary Louise, and I don't know why. I mean, they're just friends. Why are you so worried about them? I don't understand. Bonnie's not a lesbian. Bonnie's dated Jeremy. She's dated guys. Why are you worried about them? I don't know why this came up. It seemed like they just did this to give Mary Louise a plot, and it really was stupid. I don't know why Mary Louise had such a problem with Bonnie and Nora being friends. It didn't really make sense to me. So Valerie comes to check on Caroline, and she does have a healing spell over her stomach, and her hand recovers. But then Valerie says that the babies are siphons. She says they may be taking the vampire magic out of her body. Now that's very interesting. Imagine Caroline without vampire magic. It would make sense why what happens to Caroline from 5 years, from like 2 years from now happens. It would definitely make sense. So Bonnie and the others find that Rayna's at a mental hospital. Nora compels her to let them see Rayna. She says room 658. They head up. Bonnie asks if there is a plan. And Mary Louise says, you watch while we kill her. They look in the windows of the room and she seems catatonic. Bonnie mocks them for being scared of the woman strapped to the bed and out of it. And basically, Julian takes Damon to a fight club where he has humans brawling. And this really was stupid. I mean, can you get more cliche than a fight club, really? I have seen so many shows where you have a fight club, and it's just not interesting here. The originals, I think, did it pretty well. This show, I don't think did it well at all. I think this was honestly kind of stupid that they did this fight club. So Damon watches the fight. Julian says the only true remedy for mental anguish is physical brutality. And I understand that, like, this was kind of Damon getting out his outlet, his emotional outlet, but it just makes things worse in the end. They watch the one competent rips out the heart of the other. Damon looks around in disgust because he's never seen anything like this before. I mean, this is crazy to him. So Matt goes to check out the house of Penny's friend. Matt finds the guy dead, bled from a neck wound, and Penny's there too. He asks why she's there. She says she followed him. Matt tells her to leave. A vampire is behind Matt. She shoots it. It doesn't go down because she doesn't really know about vampires. And like I said, I like the way they're taking Penny. I like her character. I like that she really didn't know about vampires. And Matt takes it out. She says wooden bullets. He says that's what you need to wear a cop uniform in Mystic Falls. And Valerie gives Caroline a talisman charged up with magic to feed the baby so they don't siphon her. And Caroline thanks her and Valerie promises to keep her safe. Stefan talks to Valerie, says she thinks the babies are siphoning slowly, then asks if he's talked to Damon. She says that he's with Julian, and Damon is in the ring fighting as Julian watches. Damon rips out his heart and squeezes it when he comes at him, and Julian asks if he's feeling better yet. Damon asks what else she got. The three witches talk to Rayna. She says she doesn't recognize them. Mary Louise calls her a murderous vampire hunting bitch and shows her the card. And Rayna says she doesn't know what they mean and asks for a cookie. Bonnie says that can't be her. Nora says that Bonnie's right. They wonder if she's there under another name. And Mary Louise and Nora goes to look around. And again, I didn't really care. I understand that Mary Louise thinks that this is Rayna, but Nora and Bonnie don't. It's just, that's not the problem with this plot for me. It's the fact that Mary Louise is completely against anything that has to do with Nora and Bonnie. It's basically like, Nora can't be with anyone except me. She can't be close with anyone except me. And it makes Mary Louise come across as very stalkerish, actually. I understand that these two are supposed to be in a relationship, but come on. You're basically telling her that you can't have any other friends except me, and that's really fucking stupid if that's where he needs to go, and Nora needs to fucking leave her if that's what's going on. I mean, if Mary Louise really feels that Nora shouldn't be with anyone except her, that's really dumb, and that is the main reason why this isn't working for me. Mary Louise extremely clingy. All season long, she's been clingy, whether it's been telling Nora to wear something less sexy, or telling Nora to not hang out with them, or telling Nora that she cares about her more than anyone else. I mean, she just seems extremely clingy, and it really makes Mary Louise come off very, very badly, I have to say. And that's one of the main reasons her character is just not working for me. Her character is not likable, I think. I don't think they've made her character likable at all. I think they're honestly making her more unlikable, honestly. And I didn't think it was possible, but it feels like that's what's going on here. So Bonnie says that Nora's trying to use her to make Mary Louise jealous and says, stop it. And no, that's not what's going on. Nora and Bonnie had a genuine friendship. I don't know what the hell Bonnie's talking about. I mean, again, this just came out of nowhere. So Damon faces off against Samson, who has never lost a fight. He backhands Damon hard, then kicks him down. Damon gets the drop and slams him down. Samson has him by the neck. The crowd cheers. Now, this could be a good storyline, let me just say, if it wasn't Julian. Why in the world would Damon trust Julian? I have no idea. I don't know why. I understand that Damon's kind of given up and things like that, but why he'd ally with Julian makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. I mean, he just spent a whole episode realizing what Julian really did to his mother, realizing the person that Julian really is, why he'd ally with him, I have absolutely no idea, and it makes really no sense at all. It does not go with his story. I don't know why he did it, and I don't know why Damon just decided, I'm an ally with Julian. It didn't really make any sense to me. So Basically, Stamson has him by the neck. Crowd cheers. Damon stakes him. Julian screams, "No weapons." Julian says, "We're done." Damon staggers to his feet and says again. Julian says he's bored. Damon yells, "Who's next?" Julian says that he is, and Stefan shows up, tries to shut it down. Damon refuses, steps up to brawl with Julian, and I like that Stefan's trying to be the one to shut this down and tell him, look, you don't need to do this, because, he knows that this is all out of aggression. And Valerie brings Caroline some magazines and food. Caroline asks where Stefan is. She says he went to bail out Damon, who's with Julian. Caroline asks Valerie to kill Julian, and she says she can't let Stefan go there alone. Caroline says she's fine and tells Valerie to go and make sure that Stefan is safe. She leaves. Damon drinks a shot, and Stefan says that Julian's too old and strong for him. Damon says that he deserves this, and Stefan asks why. Damon tells him to back off or he'll destroy him too. Stefan demands to know what he's done, and Julian has several vampires drag Stefan away as he begs Damon not to do this, and Bonnie comes back with an oatmeal, and I like seeing Stefan's genuine concern for Damon. That's something I think they've done really well this half of the season. I mean, we didn't really have as much in the first half, but I think they've really done that very well. It's probably one of the best things they've done, is showing the bond that these two have. I mean, Stefan really cares about him. He doesn't want Damon to turn dark, while Damon thinks there's really no other way out of this. I think that's honestly a very well-written storyline. It's certainly more interesting than whatever the hell's going on with Bonnie here. Bonnie comes back with an oatmeal cookie for Rayna, who tells her that she's a nice girl and asks why she's with two deviant vampires. Rayna says that she was a huntress and now an old woman is waiting to die. She says she got screwy in her old age, staked a supermarket checkout girl. She asks Bonnie to help her with the cookies, and she gets closer. She grabs her. Bonnie's magic won't work on her, and then Enzo shows up to save her. He throws a knife into Rayna. Bonnie asks why he's there. He says a complicator, but he's her guardian angel today. And of course, we knew that Enzo was coming back because we know him and Bonnie are going to end up together. But I don't know, their chemistry is kind of gone. I don't really feel it in this episode. I felt like Enzo just kind of came out of nowhere. And I understand that he's there to save Bonnie, but I don't know. I mean, they really haven't touched upon the fact that Bonnie and Enzo are going to be together. They haven't really touched upon that. I don't know if they're going to. So Damon and Julian face off in the ring. Julian hits him hard and says he never had any siblings. Damon hits him hard, calls him a lonely little tadpole, and that's why he surrounds himself with low-life degenerate bloodsuckers like these. Julian says at least he has friends, and that Damon has driven everyone away. Damon fights him, but Julian chokes him. Julian asks what Stefan would do if he found out what he did to Elena. Damon says go ahead to rip his heart out. Julian says he'd love to, then asks Damon if he's sure. The crowd cheers, and Julian goes to do it, but is knocked back by magic, and then Stefan punches him hard. Valerie's there with him. Stefan says if Julian kills him, he'll kill Julian. Everyone there will kill Stefan. He asks, doesn't that matter? Damon finally claps his hands. Stefan pulls him to stand. Julian sits down with pain. Valerie lets go of the magic and walks out with them. Julian shouts out, if they come back, kill them. And, basically, they're trying to, obviously, stop Julian. So Bonnie asks Enzo where he's been. He asks if she missed him. He says Matt called in a shadowy organization to hunt him down and kill him. And Nora and Mary Louise show up. She asks if they knew she was immune to magic. And when they get back to the room to cloak Rayna's body, take her out, Bonnie sees that Enzo stole her and ran off. And Damon thanks Stefan for the... Now, why did he steal her? I don't really know. I mean, I don't really know where this is going. So... Damon thanks Stefan for the intervention. Stefan asks if he's going to flip his switch, and Damon says that no, he wants to feel all the pain. He's not going to flip his switch, and Stefan asks what he did. Damon says that he killed Elena. Stefan is stunned and asks what he means. He says Henry told him to free his true self, so he forced Tyler to take him to her coffin, and then he burned her to ashes, and Damon says, go ahead and tell me you will stand by me. Stefan beats him brutally, then walks away in disgust, and I understand why Stefan did that. I mean, this was his girlfriend, the person that Damon cried over, the person that Damon wouldn't function without, and now he's just killed her. I mean, it's crazy, and I do not think that Elena's actually dead. I'm gonna say that right now. I don't know how, but there is a part of me that feels like Elena's not actually dead. So Stefan gets into his car, freaks out, beating the steering wheel, then starts crying, and it's a very good scene. I really think that Paul Wesley really handled that anger very, very well in this episode. I really loved his performance here. So Valerie gets into the car, and he says they should get back to the hospital. Valerie says he doesn't seem fine. Stefan says that Julian killed their child, hurt her, destroyed Damon, took his home in his town. He says he let him live, but Valerie says he's strong. Stefan says he wants him dead no matter what, and at this point, he just needs to kill Julian. He doesn't care what happens. Julian needs to die, and Penny and Matt sit drinking. She says she's processing, and to give her a minute, she says vampires are a thing and Mystic Falls has been overrun with them, even though they always had some. She says his weapons are for fighting vampires and asks why he's still there. And he says his sister is dead, his parents took off, and Mystic Falls is all he has, so he's taking a stand. She laughs and says he's 100% not who she thought he was. She says she thought he was cute and damaged, but not insanely brave, and I like this. Like I said, I really like this romantic relationship that these two are starting to develop. I think it's very good for them. I like seeing Matt happy for a change, and I like that he actually taught her everything you need to know about vampires. I just really like seeing that. So Mary Louise finds Nora in a bar and asks why Mary Louise isn't back in Mystic Falls. Mary Louise says they made a good team, and Nora sips her beer. Then Mary Louise asks if Nora likes Bonnie. Nora rattles off a list of her good qualities, and again, why would you ask if she likes Bonnie? Bonnie is straight. She's not a lesbian. Oh my god, it's so stupid. Mary Louise says she's sorry she chose Julian, says she loves Nora and hopes she can forgive her one day. Nora says they do still make a good team. She offers Mary Louise a beer. She comes back, and again, I just don't care. I wish I cared. I just don't. This isn't going anywhere. They're not making it more interesting. They're just making it stupid, honestly. I'm not a fan of them. So Caroline rubs her stomach and tells the baby that she knows they're both awake. She says she's bored too, knows her magic blood tastes really good, so they need to show some self-control for a while. Caroline groans in pain, sees her legs and hand are desiccating, the magic babies are sucking her dry, and who knows what's going to happen. I mean, this is pretty crazy. But this is not the first time I've seen this storyline. This is something I saw in Twilight, honestly. You guys remember Twilight Breaking Dawn? When Bella thought that the baby was going to kill her? Very much like what's going on with Caroline in this episode. So, and of course, it's two babies, so it's even crazier. So, the thing that doesn't make sense to me, though, is that Caroline seems fine in 2 years from now. I mean, something clearly happens, but it doesn't seem like her arms and legs are desiccating or anything. I mean, definitely, that's very strange. So, hopefully, they go somewhere with this. We'll have to see what happens there. But Stefan shows up to see Julian, who's smug, and says his brother is too far gone to be fixed. Stefan says he's probably right, then says it's all his fault for sending him to hell. Stefan stabs a knife into his hand. Julian gets sassy. Stefan says they can't see him, and Valerie has him cloaked so Stefan could torment him unnoticed. Stefan says maybe this is cheating, but he doesn't care. He goes to stake him. Julian tries to fight him up, but his hand is weak and his throat has been cut. Stefan pushes the stake into his chest. Julian goes limp, and Stefan watches him desiccate. Valerie watches as he finishes off the man who killed their child, and Julian's dead. Literally, they killed off Julian in this episode, and there's a part of me that I'm happy that this happened, but then there's the fact that he was supposed to be the villain of this season, and now it feels like we're focusing on Rayna, and it's really come out of nowhere, and I'm not a fan of that. So, the chick who tossed Damon the steak in the Samson fight approaches him, offers some tequila. She grabs him, kisses him, and he shoves her back, then he stares at her, and then grabs her hand hard and kisses her roughly. Enzo has Rayna. Turns out he sent the postcards to lure the heretics to lead him to her. He immolates her body down to ash, which I don't know how that makes any sense, but okay. Then out of the dust, a young woman appears, pounds on the glass. She's a phoenix like the stone and the sword she wields. And it seems like Damon and this girl are definitely getting it close. So then we see 3 years from now, Matt meets Stefan at the TV station. He attacks him, takes him down. Matt says he's out now. He never wants to see him again. The woman says to thank him he has had and have a nice life. It's Rayna. She has Damon tied up inside the TV station. We now know what's going on there. And that's how the episode ends. So overall, guys, I really was a really big fan. I really was not a huge fan of this episode. Like I said, I really feel this was a step back from the 2 episodes we've been having. Really, I think they've been on this streak, and now it's really gone back to what I thought this show was. I mean, they really don't know where they're heading here. What is going to happen with Rayna? I mean, you guys recall, the first 2 episodes, they established that this could have been Lily, but it wasn't Lily, and now it's saying Rayna, so Rayna, I'm guessing, can take forms of many people, including Lily, and she's the one that's holding Damon hostage, so that's really interesting. What's gonna happen with Damon? I mean, did he really kill Elena? I don't want to think that he did. I don't think the show would just go off and kill Elena, but the show's saying that they might have, so did Damon actually kill Elena? Did he actually burn her body? I don't really know. We'll have to see what happens there. Julian dying, I think, works, but it's just too early, honestly. I don't really think he needed to die here. I think there were other ways to solve this, and to me, it just seemed like, get rid of one villain, now we can introduce this villain. It didn't really work for me. Enzo, I don't know where we're going with this, I really don't, but it doesn't really seem to me like Enzo and Bonnie, they have a reason to get together. I mean, I understand that, like, they don't really have anyone else, but definitely that's very interesting. Mary Louise and Nora, For God's sakes, just do something interesting. Stop this whole you might like Bonnie stuff. It's boring. I don't like it. It's annoying. I don't like these characters. It has nothing to do with the actresses. It has nothing to do with their, sexual orientation. It's just I don't like these characters. I don't find them interesting. What's gonna happen with Caroline and these babies? I don't really know what's gonna happen there. And what happens to Matt that kills Penny? I mean, it's clear that something happens with Stefan that kills Penny, and I think Penny's gonna be the one to die that Matt was talking about last week. Whatever, guys, sometimes you guys saw this episode. Like I said, I really wanted to like this episode. There were so many things that just did not work in this episode for me. And I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for the originals, which obviously I have a lot more to say about. And I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.